Good morning. Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. It's an opportunity to discuss a spiritual topic relating to either spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, or more. And it's always such a delight to have on my show special guests. And I'd like to introduce you, if you don't know her, to Dot McCarthy. Thanks for being on the show today, Dot.
You're welcome.
Dot is a resident of Lilydale, a retired psychiatric nurse, and a spiritual healer. I would also call her the fairy godmother of Lilydale. She's someone who just delights people with beautiful acts of service and acts of grace. Which takes us to our topic, acts of grace. But before we get really into the heart of that, I just want to make sure people know how to tune in to Wednesdays with Willa. As I said, it's a weekly podcast show that airs at 10 a.m. Eastern. And you can find that on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium, as well as all the archive videos of past shows. Because this is year 7 of Wednesdays with Willa.
7.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it? And you can also find them on my YouTube channel, as well as the Lilydale Radio, Blog Talk Radio site. So you can go to blogtalkradio.com/Lilydale Radio and be able to access listen-only audio of the show. And there are other shows that happen throughout the week that are part of the Lilydale Radio family, so I encourage you to take a look at those as well. So glad to have you here, and if this is your first time, I think you'll really enjoy my special guest today, Dot McCarthy. She brings a lot to the table. You've been on the show, we counted it up at least 6 times before because I just love Dot so much. And we've talked about all kinds of great topics. We've talked about A Course in Love. We've talked about mental health and healing because, you have the background as a retired now psychiatric nurse. We've talked about the straw that broke the camel's back. That's when you broke your back. So she wants some really cool stories. You can type those into either my Facebook page or on YouTube, and you should be able to find those. Dealing with ingratitude. And forgiveness was another great topic, and also mother guilt. So a lot of wonderful topics that if you want more of Dot, you're going to want to go back and watch those archive videos of the show. And today I thought it would be great to have Dot on the show to talk about acts of grace, because she's someone that I observe throughout our community doing acts of grace for other people. And, she doesn't really do it with fanfare or anything. She just does it kind of quietly and sweetly. And, I do feel... I want to model myself after you. Okay. I want to be like Dot when I grow up.
Okay.
And I have a long way to go to be like Dot, that's for sure. But she's well qualified to talk about acts of grace. So I think we'll first start with, what is an act of grace?
An act of grace. It's seeing something in someone that I don't even know if they show themselves, but it would be hard for me because I kiddingly said go to Walmart if you want to.
Yes, you said that on the
grace. Go to Walmart, and you start in the parking lot. If there's if there's one of those little mobile units left in the parking lot, you get in it and take it inside. And then somebody else can use it, I just usually go in there and tell somebody, this was outside, and they'll plug it in for you. And pick up your own cart outside. There's one usually between you and the door. Instead of walking by, just pick up that cart and take it in. So it's small, very small things. And the person that you're doing it for doesn't even notice that you've done it, and that wasn't the reason anyway. And then you go into Walmart, and it seems like there's just always somebody that, I don't know, needs a smile. The smile's nothing. And the other day there was a lady, and she looked exhausted. And I said to her, you look so tired. And she says, I'm not feeling well. I've got to go home. And I said, you go ahead and I'll say a small prayer for you. And I thought, why did you say small? I thought it doesn't make a difference. So a prayer for her to get her out of the door, excuse me, and home, just to take care of herself. So it's little things. I mean, you can go through Walmart and see nothing, but you can go to Walmart and see little things.
If you're open to seeing them, it's about recognizing you kind of have to set aside your own issues, maybe your own pain, maybe the things that you're dwelling on or in a hurry about. And it seems to be an act of service a lot of times, or an act of graciousness. Yeah. There's a generosity of spirit that I've noticed that accompany acts of grace. Yeah. And remember that TV show Highway to Heaven, and the angels would just show up, or humans that were acting like angels, and they would do things for people, and there was a sweetness to that. Yeah. And again, it's not always getting credit, but I know a lot of people do say thank you to you. They don't always know how to say it, but you can see that it made a difference to them. Yeah. Yeah. So what are some other examples of acts of grace that would be wonderful for people to know about?
Well, when you're walking around Walmart, it just they come up to you. They just present themselves in front of you. For the life of me, I cannot think of anything, but I know I do them at Walmart.
But with your community members, there are times where, she's been so sweet. She's dropped off a balloon for the kids, and I know you make brownies for people sometime, and just sort of delight them in those ways, or make them a home cooked meal. Yeah. And, extend that kind of hospitality outside of your own home. Yeah. And share it with your neighbors in that particular way. Yeah.
Well, James Wade, been teaching him how to cook simple meals that he can handle. And so he's been doing that, making his own meals for his mom and dad.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. And he probably needed that help, that little extra nudge.
Well, he would come over and we would sit down and make. I would have the recipe for him, and he would look that over and see what he had to get from the store, and then he would make it in the kitchen. And
under supervision.
Yeah. Oh, wait, well, he's over 30.
Right, but still, but with supervision. Oh, yeah. Like, of the kindly Dot. Yeah. The fairy godmother.
So he would like to do, apparently he would like to do more, so I'll probably
That's great.
Get some chicken dinners or something.
No, because some folks don't know how to cook well and tasty and provide for their family in that particular way.
Yeah. Well, he said his mother wasn't real big on seasoning. So we had to put exactly how much seasoning to put in, the salt.
None of this little dash of this and guess about that.
No. Yeah, we had to really do it.
Make it formula to the chemistry experiment of food.
And he had to measure the salt and pepper. Yes. We didn't put a lot in.
I know, because when you get used to cooking, you just know what to put in. You just have a sense. Yeah. But with practice.
Yeah. Well, with him doing it, it makes you say, go ahead and measure a teaspoon, measure a fourth, and so he did do that. Yes. So when he made it, he did it, with the. If he wants more salt, then he's got to put it in there, or pepper, or whatever,
Later on.
Yeah. If the family wants more, they can do that. But so it's been fun teaching him how to cook, and so we'll just see how that goes.
For sure. Yeah. And sometimes that act of grace or graciousness is maybe shoveling someone's sidewalk for them when there's a big snowstorm
Oh,
and they can't get out of their house.
Yeah, I pulled up in front of my house and my house the car went completely dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he and his father came down and put it in out of the street and in the parking so that AAA could come in the next day and work on it. So yeah, he's done little things for me.
Yeah, like pitching in those kinds of ways that is just really nice and needed sometimes.
Yeah,
or if you know someone's ill, write him a little note of cheer and let him know that you're thinking of them and that you're sending healing their way and that you value them.
So he's let Anne know, my daughter, know that he'd like to have a few more cooking lessons. Yeah. So I think I've given him 7. So I think
kind of like his own Julia child.
yeah. So yeah.
Betty Crocker, here we come.
Yeah. Snow on the Mountain is one of his. That's just hamburger with, it's pork and beans and hamburger. You put it in a casserole and you put mashed potatoes on top. It's very simple.
Yes.
But the kids like it.
Sure.
So he's learned how to
make that. And it gets people fed. And that's
exactly.
That's what matters.
And it keeps from running and getting pizza all the time.
Oh, yeah. So, absolutely. Yeah. Things like that are really important.
Yeah.
And also, one of the things I've noticed that Dot's really good at is she's good at seeing people. She's really good at including people, seeing people, making sure that they feel valued and connected with. And like, hey, how about you enjoy this with me? It's something that you extend that hand of grace to people. Yeah, that generosity. Yeah. So those who are tuning in, think about different acts of grace that you've done, and or acts of grace that have been done for you too, because there have been moments where you're thinking, oh my goodness, it made a huge difference. This person who gave me this act of grace probably doesn't know how much it helped. Yeah. But in the moment, it's just what I needed. Maybe I was at the end of my rope about something, or I was in pain, or I was feeling unseen in some way. Yeah. And then someone does something beautiful for you that is not expected any kind of return or that this is just on loan, as it were, or that this is something that's freely given without any strings attached. That's what I've noticed with acts of grace. Yeah. And the Good Samaritan that shows up when you most need it. Yeah. Either, when you're on a lonely road and you're like, oh no, the car's gone dead.
Oh my. And somebody comes along.
And says, oh, I know how to fix that. And, human angels, as it were. It's so beautiful. What are some other examples of acts of grace that you've been witness to?
That I've been witness to. I guess I've seen them, and I don't think I'm aware of them when I see them, and I see the act of kindness that comes from somebody, but I don't put them in a list. You know what I mean?
Sure.
For me, it's just something that you go into the store, like a Walmart, a store. And these things sometimes come up when you don't expect them, and you just are open to them, and you see it on the person's face. They're thankful for what you've done or what you did, or
if you're tall like I am, I hope the short people get things off the top shelf.
Oh yeah, and so I
would you like me to help you get that down?
Well, no, I asked people. Because I had some last year. I had some surgery on my back, and I lost 2 inches. I said nobody told me I was going to lose 2 inches.
Can't play basketball anymore.
No. So now I find some nice tall man, and I ask him to get the thing on the top.
That's right.
And everybody that's ever done it has done it with kindness.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So I ask people to get things off the top.
You know, and we focus a lot so far on acts of grace that happen between strangers or people we don't know well that aren't part of our family. But there are acts of grace that happen within families too.
Yeah.
When you see that someone's ill or going through a hard time and you step up to the plate and assist them in those ways, it's really really amazing. Or if they're going through such a mental emotional struggle that they've gotten a little snippy and irritable, sometimes your act of grace is to not say anything back.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right.
And you don't then say to them, I'm giving you an act of grace by not saying anything back to you right now. You don't say that. You just do it.
You just keep it to yourself.
Because you know that sometimes that'll make it worse.
Yeah.
And you need to offer graciousness and space for a person. Now, if it's habitual, that's a different story. But, you know, if it's something that, you know, someone's really going through a hard time.
Yeah. Silence many times is the answer also.
Silence.
Keeping your opinion to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it can be an act of grace. So just so you know, you've probably done some acts of grace already in your life.
That's right. That's right. And just keep practicing them. They'll come.
Yes,
you know?
They will.
If you're just open to them and, just do them and keep on going.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a pitch in mentality that's part of an act of grace. You just kind of pitch in, and you don't pitch a fit about doing it. You pitch in. You say, you see a neighbor struggling to get her groceries in. Then you say, hey, would you like some help? I can help you get it into the house. And even if they're embarrassed, because they're like, well, my house isn't quite all ready for company here. It's like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Everybody's house gets a little bit like that. And you just be friendly with them and help them in those kinds of ways. But
well, I think at the store also you can see that, when you're out putting your groceries in your car and you see somebody else struggling a little bit, but it has to be done with some real quietness.
Yeah, quietness and tact.
Not too,
Yeah.
And then if they say no, then you let them say no.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you don't say, hey, I was trying to give you an act of grace. Like, you don't get no attitude associated with your grace thing. Come on. You just accept people wherever they're, let them keep their dignity or the privacy or whatever it is that they need. And I think that really does apply to families too, because sometimes, in your efforts to fix things or find a solution for another person, you can say, well, look, I've done all this for you so you wouldn't have to. And they're like, but I didn't want you to. So there has to be a timing. And I think with acts of grace, as you've been explaining, there's a spontaneous quality to them that happens in the moment where you actually feel almost like an intuitive rightness to do it. Like a little, I don't know, for me it feels like a little glimmer thing comes through me. And it says, yes, go do this.
Yeah.
And it's not because I was thinking necessarily of doing it, but it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And if somebody is resistant, you just let it go. Mm-hmm. It wasn't meant to be. They don't want help. At least you offered. And you saw a need, you offered, they said no thanks, and you just went on your way and let it go.
Right.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
So, But, usually if there's a little something that you can do for somebody, I wish I could think of an example, but I can't. When you're
she's
at the
already
store,
forgotten all the great things she's done. There's this story of a man who that was so like a holy man, and he didn't even realize how holy he was, and he would help people, and people would want to be near him, and the angels said to God, how about we do something nice for this man? We really want to do something nice so that he knows how amazing he is, and we just really think that he's an incredible soul. And God said, well, I don't really think he wants anything like that, but you can ask him. And so the angels went to him and asked him, what would you like? We'd give you anything. Would you like a house? Would you, like all these material things? Angels wouldn't really do this, but just stay with me for the story. But it's this idea, right? And he says no. In fact, what I would like never to know how much I have helped people.
Oh.
So that I can stay humble.
Mm.
And so instead of seeing how people adored him, there were just flowers that were left. The angels still managed to leave flowers wherever he walked. And
nice.
but it was always behind him, because he didn't want that to become something that he had to contend with.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you think, well, I've always got to be good. I've
always got to be looking.
I've always got to be looking.
Yeah.
Then there's a different kind of pressure, and there isn't that kind of innocent giving that happens in that space.
Yeah.
So I just thought that story would be nice to share with us.
No, it is true, because in the innocent giving, you walk away and it's just gone. It's like you don't think about it.
You don't have an attachment.
Yeah, there's no attachment. There's no, oh, I did that,
It's not like I'm getting points for heaven.
I know. I know. Or let's start giving him points of some kind,
right,
Yeah. And I could see where he wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Because then it's just a natural process. It comes, it doesn't come, it doesn't make a difference. If you go through the whole Walmart for an hour and a half and nothing happened, then that's fine.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Not like, oh no, I didn't do my good turn today. You'll find another place.
Or push it on somebody that doesn't want it at all.
Right, right.
Because you're keeping track or something. Keeping track of your points.
Yeah. Well, ching, ching, ching.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I could see where he wouldn't really want something.
Yeah. So just know that that's an aspect of this. And I think that's why for Dot it's hard, because to always recall those things, because you let them go with love in the moment.
Yeah, you just let it go. Because they're not big things. They're just small things,
Right. This isn't like hauling somebody up the side of a cliff that they've fallen off of or something like in a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that's not what we're talking about. No. We're talking about these acts of generosity.
Yeah. Very small acts.
Very small that add up. And again, sometimes mean the difference. So, other instances that I've heard of and sometimes witnessed myself where like somebody goes to the doctor and the doctor's truly kind with them, sees them and says, I see you're going through this. I'm going to go the extra mile, make sure you get in with what you need. And you'd say, well, that's just their job. Well, not everybody does it that way. They're able to give an act of grace and somehow there's a bit of magic that's associated with them, and you can really feel the synchronicities at work. And so sometimes when somebody's going through those kinds of burdens, there's a string of synchronicities or a string of acts of grace that got them to that moment, and then they realize how loved they are by the divine and by others, especially if they have felt separated, if they had been in the illusion of separation from the divine. You can never be separated. You're always part of the divine, but sometimes the people have that. And then wouldn't you say there are also sometimes acts of grace that a person doesn't know is an act of grace until maybe even years later?
I guess I never thought about it, because if some act of grace is done, I think I said is you just leave it there and you go on.
Right, you do.
But what that person does with it is up to them, whether they accept it or whether they don't, whether they see it as an act of. It's really the person that is receiving it. that's what I think I meant when I said you walk away from it, you
That's
know.
right. When I'm talking about the recipient,
Yeah.
it doesn't always know that it was an act of grace in those moments. They don't really recognize it in the moment, but when they reflect back on it, they say, oh, that was someone actually giving me an act of grace. Maybe that's with their family or with a coworker or, more close relationships, and they start to see that was an act of grace. It's easier to see the person that when you're driving lets you into the line of cars because you're at the intersection. It's just right that you're, everybody's rushing down the road and you're not going to get in, but somebody says, come on in. Beckons you, and you're like, oh, praise God that they let me through, right? So that little act of grace, it's not as evident as that sometimes. Sometimes the act of grace is something else.
Yeah. I've done that. I've let people in when I know that I'm not holding the people behind me up.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You only in certain moments.
Yeah. Because it's almost
within reason, people.
Yeah. 2. Not 4. 2 can go through.
2 can go through. This is as far as the act of grace.
Well, no, it was looking at how much I could let 2 in. Mm-hmm. And there was a way for 2 to go in without holding the back people up too much. Yeah. But I think that's what, you've seen people hold us all up to let somebody in, and you think, well, let it go.
Yes. One you can let go. Yeah. But then, if it's a whole slew.
Yeah.
You're going, wait a minute, to the back, buddy.
Yeah. You could only get out of your car and let that be known, but you're still in
There's
your
no
car.
traffic cop handy anymore.
No, they're not around. They're not around.
But it's the reason why when you watch a feel good movie and you see them do acts of grace for each other in a movie, and we see it in life, and sometimes we don't see it, but it's emphasized, let's say, in a movie. Like a Jimmy Stewart movie, like It's a Wonderful Life, and the acts of grace that are done for people, and I love that movie.
I do too.
It's like everybody's like, he's done so much for me. How could I not do this for him? And sometimes, he didn't really think of all of those things as being acts of grace. No, but he did them. Yeah, that graciousness, that generosity of spirit. And it's a bit of that pay it forward concept that's there. The other day when we were in Tim Hortons line, someone, the car in front of us bought our things, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!
Oh, isn't that nice?"
It's one of those kind of generosity things.
How does he get your order?
Well, I think they just say, "Hey, I want to pay for the people in the back."
Gotcha. And they give them a certain amount. And they
handle it that way.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, stuff like that happens, right? Yeah. Where you just have that.
You didn't know the people.
Well, one time it happened and I did know them. Yeah. And another time I didn't know them. So it's like, it's happened
It's happened to you a couple of times already.
Yeah, so, we've tried to do a few things like that too. And it just can make someone's day to be thought of.
Oh, of course.
It might even irritate a few people. I don't know. Would people be irritated if they had somebody else buy the coffee for them? I don't know.
I can't imagine anybody caring because they're ordering their own they want.
They got what they wanted.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't think. I think most people would not be irritated. I think they'd just be.
I think it depends on the person. Yeah. But I think that's an act of grace that you could pretty much get away with.
Oh, I do too.
Without smishing someone's dignity.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too.
In that way.
Even if, before when we paid to go through tolls, if somebody paid your toll, right, it was an act of kindness. There's no way you can thank them.
Exactly.
So that's nice too.
What I think is kind of interesting is, let's say there's a natural disaster that's happened in an area. For our area, we get snow. Yeah. That's our natural disaster that we tend to have. Last year, Buffalo got 7 feet, right? And people were really gracious with their neighbors, and people were getting out their trucks and their little equipment things and their and snowmobiles and helping people. And I think that's a bit of a higher act of grace that people are doing, but because they could just stay in their home, nice and warm, and not go out and help anybody.
That's true. But 7 feet of that's a lot. That's a lot for someone to get out of their home. I can see where the neighbors would start getting out and start working. I really can.
And so there's a camaraderie that can happen within a community as well. And sometimes I wonder if part of life is helping us to show up and give acts of grace to other people.
I would think.
Yes. Now, there is a caveat to acts of grace that, we kind of touched on it a little bit with the whole, how many cars do you let into the line of cars? Yeah. But, an act of grace shouldn't be something that really depletes you. Yeah. Or hurts another situation. Yeah. So I think that's a caveat to the act of grace. Yeah. That it has to be kind of freely given and without a lot of pain on the part of the individual. Wouldn't you say? Yeah. Yeah. Because we don't want a karmic attachment to things. No. That would affect future things. See, that's I just would tell people in terms of spiritual natural law, just keep that in mind. Yeah. Keep that in mind. As aspects of looking at the acts of grace. And if any of you, like I said, have acts of grace that you'd like to share in the comments, you're welcome to do so. It's always interesting to go back and read some of what you've written and shared and the love and how that makes you feel to receive an act of grace, and an act of grace that kind of made your day more recently, or if there's one that even some years back that really has stayed with you. A kindliness that happened in those ways. But I think what it is it's also wonderful when someone holds the door. I love it when a gentleman holds the door for me. Oh, how nice! And those are kind of like manners and acts of graciousness that I still put into the acts of grace.
I always say thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, when someone does that, because I appreciate them doing that. Yeah. It doesn't mean I can't hold the door, but the fact that somebody else holds the door open, I think that's nice. Yeah.
There's a graciousness, a generosity. Yeah. So I know it's not quite Christmas yet, but I was thinking about, when you're maybe wanting to do some premeditated acts of grace, and Christmas and the holiday season and things like that will be soon upon us, and Thanksgiving and whatnot.
I've already got the bags, and I've started buying the stuff that goes in the bags. So I'll do about 50 of them. Wow! And then we're gonna do it. I'm pretty sure they'll do it. They did last year, and that was have it at the front, not go in. But with the COVID. They come to the front and they've decorated it, and there are people in costume and everything.
Oh, for the Halloween.
For the Halloween, rather than going in and breaking up the piñatas. And
right. It'll still COVID. Be So for people, she's talking about the Halloween time.
The fire hall.
At the fire hall, they'll have little goodie bags for the trick or treaters.
That's right. That's
right. She does stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as people are getting ready for this kind of holiday season and the idea of giving and how would you tell them to go about observing what somebody else might need if they wanted to do, let's say, a premeditated act of grace?
Oh boy.
We've talked about the more they tend to be more spontaneous, but let's say somebody wants to do something generous for another person that's in their life. Is it something that comes to you intuitively? Would you say that you just say, I think so-and-so really needs this? Not necessarily that you're trying to buy them a car. Yeah. They really need a car.
Yeah, they really need a car.
But
and I'll help them pray for it.
Yeah, we'll help them pray for the car. But it's more of a recognition that they need a little nudge of something in their life.
Yeah. I guess I had more of a tendency to do brownies.
Yeah, she's a brownie queen.
Yeah.
And they are good.
Yeah.
They are good.
And so I would probably make brownies. And
we're talking frosting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
the good kind.
And just drop them off.
Them off.
Yeah.
So baked goods win the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially, if they're there by themselves, you don't want to send up a whole thing of brownies.
Oh, no.
But, yeah.
They might want you to, but
they might want you to, but, yeah.
Moderation.
I think something that they can handle, that they don't feel they have to return it. So they're brownies, you don't have to make brownies.
Consumable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would probably go for something small like that. Just let them know that you're thinking of them. That's all. That's all.
But I think there's a secret Santa aspect to, maybe leaving them a gift card anonymously.
Yeah.
An anonymous gift card to the grocery store or something, or something.
Walmart. I love Walmart.
She loves Walmart.
I love Walmart.
This has been a true advertisement for Walmart today.
I'm telling you. So I have three
product placement and everything.
3 children in Buffalo, and I send them gift cards for their birthday, and so they're to Walmart. And I hear they love going to Walmart with their cards, on their birthday. And
hey, big spender.
And so as far as my grandchildren, I decided I would send them something until they left college.
Yes.
And then when they leave college,
then they're cut off.
They're cut off. Now, I have one that just went into Duke for some graduate courses this year. So I'm not sure what to do with her.
Yeah. You're like, you're still a student.
She's still a student.
She's milking it just for the gift cards to Walmart.
Yes. Yeah. Well, her father said, go ahead and do it. You'll be working the rest of your life, so go ahead and go for that. Yeah. She got a chance to play lacrosse for Duke.
Nice.
So she's there this year. So she's one that isn't finished. 2 of them are finished. There's 2 still in school. So yeah, I like the gift cards. I like Walmart because they can go in there and just get anything they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, one just told me that he got his card and he went and got all fishing things. I thought, good.
There you go.
That was the whole idea. I wouldn't have gotten him something for fishing. I wouldn't have known what to get him.
Yes.
But, so yeah, it'll end when they go to school.
When they go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. There has to be an end time on that one.
Yeah.
I've noticed that some people who really want to give things, they'll knit.
Oh.
They'll knit the hats and the scarves and things like that. I've had family members that have knitted with groups, and then they give those items to schools so that children can have them, or at libraries so they can be distributed among people that are in need. So there are opportunities to do acts of grace like that would warm someone in the winter. Also, volunteering, it can be an act of grace as well.
Exactly.
Stepping to the plate in a volunteering role that helps a person in an official volunteering capacity or in a non-official. Yeah. But those little things can really add up and help. Sometimes the act of grace is time, like what you're doing with the one fellow and teaching him to cook. That's a time investment that this is multiple acts of grace that add up to him being able to be more self-reliant, to know how to do these things. Well, he said he doesn't
know how to cook.
Yeah.
And he's, I think, a little 31, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so he has the things to cook, and what he has to buy at the store to make them. It's up to him whether he cooks or not.
That's right.
So,
That's right. So, just know that there are a myriad of activities that you can involve yourself in. And one of the things I've noticed, let's say you're dealing with something, heavy or grief that you're dealing with. Maybe you were so used to being a caregiver, and now that person has passed, and you almost like don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
You may need a little bit of, time off, of course.
Yeah.
But I think it's good if you're used to having people as projects, that you do convert that into helping people from time to time, that the acts of grace are very needed, and they will help in many ways in your processing of connecting with people again. And the more you connect in those kind of delightful ways with other souls, the easier it will be for you to feel the divine in your own life, and find the connection with your loved ones in spirit again, and you'll be in a more joyful, centered place if you can be of service to others. Yeah, it's a good way of parlaying some of those thoughts that maybe are not as productive into something that is productive and that is of generosity of spirit to other people. And it's really lovely. And I've noticed that the people who are givers, they are the ones that give a lot on a regular basis. Be it helping organize things with the food bank so that they can get donations of food to people who need it. And then working on various committees and other functions. Some of those are acts of grace, again, that are a bit more time consuming. So we've covered the ground in terms of spontaneous, one-off kind of acts of grace that are easy at Walmart and those kind of situations. Acts of grace that you do within your family. Maybe it's, you pick up somebody else's stuff off the floor for them and maybe not nag at them that particular moment.
No, I understand.
Maybe it's doing something beneficent in your community. Yeah. And just knowing that you can be part of the greater good. Yeah. And inspire others. Fairy Godmother Dot. You inspire others to be generous and do acts of grace as well. Yeah. Any last thoughts of acts of grace before we close out? Because I know we covered a lot and hopefully inspired others to recognize acts of grace that may have been done for them, the acts of grace that you've given to others. If you're ever wondering, does anybody see this? Does anybody witness that this act of grace I have done? Yes, it is witnessed. It might not be witnessed in the same human eye perspective or by video camera, but it's something that you've done with that purity, that innocent giving. Yeah.
And you just do it and look on to the next one that comes along.
That's right.
And it will.
And it will.
It will.
And it, again, this doesn't have to be something that depletes you. It's something for you to say, I am connected with other people. I value other people. When I look into their eyes, I see their souls and I see their divine spark. And that is what I'm honoring by this act of grace.
Yeah. And it's over and done with. It's over and done with. And you just hope maybe another one will come up, and then again, maybe it won't.
That's right.
And that's okay, one way or the other.
It just sort of happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
It really just happens. I don't ever look for it. It just comes.
Yeah, and someone pops into your head and you should take them brownies, or you should do this for them, or it just sort of pops in like a little download.
Exactly.
The divine says, and I would like to work through you in this way.
And the fire department, we always work through the fire department, for Christmas and Thanksgiving. We'll have a Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly. And I like what somebody has just written in the comments here, that they work with children, and that the children's acts of grace are effortless. Not a day goes by where I don't get a drawing or a hug or someone bouncing up to me to show where they lost a tooth. And it's just kind of, they help. They help her remember what grace is. And it makes it easier to recognize those opportunities to practice those acts of grace myself.
Yeah, that's nice.
Isn't that so nice. Beautifully stated? I love that, because it is those little things, they mean everything. Yeah. when they add up. And
well, especially when you're dealing with children. She's dealing with children, and so that's what they show with their teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can do that with old people too, not
Yeah.
just children. You can do that with the elderly crew when they need things.
Yeah.
And being of cheer to them. And,
Yeah.
and maybe you'll be, like that child that's bouncing up to show them something. And they get to be part of your special moment.
Yeah.
Not even though you're an adult. You're always going to be a little kid to some extent.
Yeah.
Right?
That's all right.
That's a little kid. Look at her in her Mickey Mouse sweatshirt.
I got my Mickey Mouse shirt on today.
That's one of my favorites. Oh, well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I
today.
appreciate
really appreciate you coming on.
I will be back whenever you need me.
Excellent. Well, say goodbye to everyone, and next week I will be featuring 10 tips for your mediumship reading, some things of what to expect, and what you can do to prepare for a reading, what happens during a session, and to what extent we can direct anything during a reading.
Well, you know what I've been telling people? If you want to hear from your mother, tell your mother you want her to come through.
That's right.
And if you want to hear from, I don't care how many people, there was a little blurb in one of the programs, I'm sure it's in there more than once, what to do when you're going for a session.
Yes, we'll be covering that.
And I said, what I've heard from mediums, they'll say, they come in, they're finished, and you say, is there anything else? Well, I was hoping my mother would come through. Well, did you ask your mother? Did you tell her before the session you want your mother to come through?
Sometimes it's nice if a client in advance can say, hey, you guys, I've got an appointment, show up.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're surprised. They're surprised by who decides to come forward, or their mom comes through right off the bat. It just depends on the instance. But yes, we'll be getting into that next week on Wednesdays with Willa. Same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. Thank you again, Dot, for being on the show. Look back at the archive videos of the show so you can get more Dot.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Bye-bye.